Hi, Pastor Giovanni here, and welcome to today's daily devotional. We are going to be reading the parable of the sower from the Gospel according to Matthew chapter 13. We'll read verses 1 to 8, and then we'll jump and read verses 18 to 23. Let's begin. That same day, Jesus went out of the house and sat by the lake. Such large crowds gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat in it, while all the people stood on the shore. Then he told them many things in parables, saying, A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places, where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow, but when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop 160 or 30 times what was sown. Listen then to what the parable of the sower means. When anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in their heart. This is the seed sown along the path. The seed falling on rocky ground refers to someone who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. But since they had no root, they last only a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. The seed falling among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. But the seed falling on good soil refers to someone who hears the word and understands it. This is the one who produces a crop, yielding 160 or 30 times what was sown. So, end of reading. Jesus' parable of the sower. So you'll see in Matthew chapter 13, Jesus tells parables. He's talking to crowds. This was a common way that he taught crowds. The benefit here is that when we skipped ahead to verses 18 to 23, Jesus explains the meaning of the parable to his disciples. So not only we have the parable, but we have Jesus' explanation of the parable. So he does all the work in explaining the seed. So Jesus there, lakeside teaching. He went out of his house, sat by the lake, and gets in a boat. There's crowds gathered on the shore. Like they say, this is like a natural amphitheater in the ancient times where he can teach many people at once. And he decides to teach them in parables, using this kind of metaphor where a farmer is going out to sow seed. What we notice about this is the message of the kingdom, that seed, this news about God and his kingdom that's going out. And the farmer who's sowing, he sows indiscriminately. He's sowing seed in places you wouldn't think the seed's falling, in rocky places and bad soil. And we see this with Jesus. He teaches, he goes after sinners, tax collectors, prostitutes. He's teaching to people who you wouldn't think would receive the message. But now we also must consider us as listeners. It's Jesus who's getting his word out to us, and we have a responsibility as a hearer, and we're listening to the word. We also notice that our lifestyle affects the way we hear the word. Are we living a life of faith? Or when trouble or persecution comes, do we still hear that word? Are we clinging to the word, or do we go based upon what we see? We're seeing trouble, but are we going based upon the word that we hear or upon the trouble that we see? Same with the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth that can choke out the word. So we need to be hearing the word, because faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And then we need to make sure that we are living according to that word faithfully. So take some time to study the parable of the sower and the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13. God bless you.